Hello and welcome to this lesson on percentage decrease using a multiplier. If you want to pop today's date in the title in your book, do so now and then have a go at the do now question. So the do now slide asks you to convert the following percentages into decimals. Remember from the previous lesson, to do this we need to divide by 100. Have a go at two of the different columns. So if you feel less confident, have a go at the first bronze column and the second silver column. If you feel really confident with this, have a go at the silver and the gold column. Pause the video while you have a go, and then when you're ready to mark your answers, resume playing the video. So for 56%, so 56 shared by 100, you should have the answer of 0.56. 35 divided by 100 will give you 0.35. 84 divided by 100 will give you 0.84. 22 divided by 100 will give you 0.22. 7 divided by 100 will give you 0.07. Remember, hopefully you haven't got 0.7 because that would be 70 divided by 100. For 9%, 9 divided by 100 would be 0.09. And for 105 divided by 100, hopefully you got 1.05. For the silver set of questions, 155 divided by 100 would give you 1.55. 118 divided by 100 would give you 1.18. 250 divided by 100 would give you 2.5. Remember in the previous lesson when we were looking at percentages greater than 100%, this would give you a decimal greater than 1. So 250% obviously then would give you a decimal greater than 2, so 2.5. 300%, 300 divided by 100 gives you an answer of 3. 245 divided by 100 gives you an answer of 2.45. 544 divided by 100 gives you an answer of 5.44. And slightly trickier one, 267.5 divided by 100 would give you a decimal of 2.675. So for the gold column, 178 divided by 100 would give you an answer of 1.78. 197 divided by 100 would give you an answer of 1.97. 256 divided by 100 would give you an answer of 2.56. 367.5 divided by 100 would give you an answer of 3.675. 1.25 divided by 100 would give you 0.0125. 544.75 divided by 100 would give you an answer of 5.4475, and 207.5 divided by 100 would give you a decimal of 2.075. So our hook question for today, well, our title is percentage decrease using a multiplier. So let's look at a real life example where we might need to decrease by a percentage. So a jacket has been reduced by 15% in a sale. If the jacket cost £45 to begin with, how much is the jacket in the sale? So to work out this question then, we would firstly find 15% of £45, and then as we want to reduce by this, we will subtract it from the £45. So you might look at working at this kind. So to work out 10% of something, it's the same as a tenth, we divide by 10, so £45 shared by 10 would give you £4.50. To find 5%, we will half this 10%, half of £4.50 will give us £2.25. To find 15% in total then, we would add the 10% and the 5% together to give us 15% being £6.75. Now, because we're reducing by 15%, we will subtract this £6.75 from £45 and get a sale price for the jacket of £38.25. This is a completely acceptable way to do it in an exam or a test, but now we want to look for a more efficient way. And when we decrease something by 15%, we're actually looking to find a percentage that's less than 100%. So if we started with 100%, which is what the total cost of the jacket is, so the original cost is 100% of the amount. So we want to reduce it by 15%. So if we work out 100%, subtract 15%, we actually want to work out what 85% of the jacket is. Now we know how to do this. If we change 85% to a decimal by dividing by 100, so we'd have a decimal multiplier of 0.85, we then multiply this by the amount to start with of 45, and we get the amount we wanted straight away. So 0.45 multiplied by 45 gives us the answer of £38.25 in a really simple and efficient way. Obviously feel free to use your calculator then to work this out. So this is what we'll be working through for this lesson, and this is an example of where it would be used in everyday life. So a bit of purposeful practice to begin with. You might want to have a go at these in your exercise book. So using the multiplier method, calculate the following. Let's just check you understand by doing the first one together. So first of all, calculate 15% of 220. Remember to do this. Work out the decimal multiplier. So 15 divided by 100 is 0.15. Of means multiply. So we want to work out 0.15 multiplied by 220. Pop this into your calculator. This gives us an answer of 33. Pause the video now and have a go at the other questions, writing out the working you are going to put into your calculator with the answer. Resume playing the video when you want to mark your work. So for 65% of 800, 65 divided by 100 gives us a multiplier of 0.65, and we'll get an answer of 520. For 77% of 520, your decimal multiplier is 0.77. So 0.77 multiplied by 520 gives you 400.4. For 32%, 0.32 multiplied by 650 will give you an answer of 208. 81% would be a decimal multiplier of 0.81 multiplied by 1,500 to give you 1,215. Notice all of these questions, all of the answers are less than the original amount. So 16% of 580 is 0.16 multiplied by 580 to give 92.8. And 54% of 980 is 0.54 multiplied by 980, which is 520. So hopefully these questions have got us warmed up with the multiplier method. So our success criteria for today then, our bronze objective is to know how to find a percentage of an amount using a multiplier. So that's what we've just done with the previous questions. Our silver objective is to understand how to find a multiplier to be able to work out a decrease. That's what we're going to look at now. And then go a bit further with our gold objective and be able to calculate a percentage decrease. So just like the hook question. So to find a percentage decrease then, let's do an example. You might want to copy this down in your exercise book. So to find a percentage decrease, this is what we do. So if you look at the right hand side of the screen, so the recall, so subtract the percentage from 100, change to a decimal and find that percentage of an amount. I'm going to ask you to recall this back to me at the end of this example. So let's have a look at an example together. In a shop, a blanket costs £20. So 100% of the amount is that £20. So 100% is equal to £20. Now here's the question. In a sale, the blanket is reduced by 40%. This means we're going to take the original amount of 100% and reduce it by 40%. Remember, reduce means to subtract, to get smaller. So we're going to take 40% off this original amount. So it ends up that we want to work out what 60% of the original amount is. So this is now our question. So the blanket now costs 60% of the original value. So now we're going to work out the decimal multiplier for 60%. So 60% of £20, we would do 0.6. Remember, 60 divided by 100 is 0.6. Of means times, so 0.6 multiplied by 20, the original cost would be £12. Sorry, the blanket now costs £12. So if you recall after me then, to find a percentage decrease, we subtract the percentage from 100, we change to a decimal and find that percentage of the amount. So can you have a go at these two questions here? Pause the video while you have a go and then resume playing when you want to go through the answers. So the first question, decrease £60 by 30%. So first of all then, because we want to decrease by 30%, we always start with 100% of the amount. So our £60 would be 100%. We're going to decrease by 30%. So we then want to find what 70% of the amount is. So to find 70% of £60 then, we change to a decimal. So 0.7 multiplied by the 60. So decreasing £60 by 30% would give us £42. Now we could have done this by finding 10% to start with, which would be 6. So 30% would be 3 lots of this, which would be £18. And then if we do £60, take away £18, this gets us to £42. But I want you to try and do it in this way so that we can get used to using a decimal multiplier. So recap again. Decrease by 30%, so we're going to start with 100%, subtract 30% because we're decreasing by 30, so we want to work out what 70% of the original amount is. So 0.7 multiplied by 60 would give us £42. The next one then, decrease 500 metres by 65%. So 100% of the amount is the 500 metres, so we're going to start with 100%, we want to decrease by 65%, so 100% subtract 65% means we want to find 35% of the original amount. So we want to find 35% of 500 metres, as this is the same as decreasing by 65%. So change the 35% to a decimal, so we want to work out 0.35 multiplied by 500, so the answer is 175 metres. A cold call question now. In a sale, 30% is taken off all prices. Eva, Mo and Alex are calculating the sale price of a shirt that costs £40 before the sale. Have a look at the following methods and I want to know which one you prefer and why. So this is Mo's method, this is Eva's method, and this is Alex's method. Pause the video, have a look at all 3 sets of working and resume playing the video when you're happy for me to discuss the different methods. So Mo then has used the way that we have just worked out. In fact, they've all used, well, Mo and Eva have both used the same method. So Mo has done 100% subtract the 30%, as 30% is taken off the prices. So then we want to work out 70% of the original amount. Change this to a decimal, so 0.7 multiplied by the original £40 to get that it's £28 in the sale. Eva has done exactly the same, but she's represented it using this lovely bar model. So she has got 10 equal spaces. So each of these spaces is worth 10%. So she's got 10 equal spaces to represent the 100%. Now, as we are reducing by 30%, she's represented that we've taken 30% off here. So we're left with finding 70% of the original amount. So again, she has worked out 30%. So she's done 10% is £4, multiplied by this by 3 to get £12 and subtracted it away. Okay. Alex has done this without the visual representation. So he's worked out what 10% of the £40 is. So 40 divided by 10 to give me £4. Multiplied this by 3 to get 30% and then subtracted it away. any of these three methods is perfectly acceptable. Mo's method kind of follows what we've been doing with the decimal multiplier. Another cold call question. So can you explain why either is wrong, and can you tell me what should the multiplier be? Pause the video, have a go at this on some note paper or in your exercise book, and then continue playing when you're happy for me to talk through. So Eva says to reduce a number by 45%, the multiplier is 0.45. Okay, so hopefully you have seen that Eva is incorrect. The decimal multiplier of 0.45 would be if we actually want to work out 45% of an amount. We want to reduce it by 45. So we start with the original 100%. We subtract off 45%, so we would actually be wanting to find 55% of the original amount. So the decimal multiplier should have been 0.55. Have a look at this question here. You could pause while you do. Let me just quickly explain. It asks you to match up the bar model with the percentage multiplier. So you need to match each of these bar models to one of the decimal multipliers and one of the correct descriptions. As a hint, I might look at these first. So which bar model represents a 70% decrease and which decimal multiplier does it match to? Which bar model represents a 30% decrease and which of the decimals does it relate to up here? And then have a think about this, a 0% decrease. What would happen? Which bar model does this represent and which multiplier is it? Pause the video and have a go. So the 70% decrease then, well, a 70% decrease, we'd start with 100%, subtract 70 off, so we're actually trying to find 30% of the original amount. So this would be multiplying by 0.3. So if we look over here at the bar models then, so working out 30% of the original amount, this would be the bottom bar model. So a 70% decrease away from 100%. A 30% decrease then, so 100% subtract 30% would mean we are finding a 70% of the original amount. So this will be a decimal multiplier of 0.7. This relates to the second bar model here, so 100%, we're decreasing, we're taking the 30% off, so we're finding 70% of the original amount. Now the last one, a 0% decrease, means we are keeping the original value. We don't want to change it in any way. We don't want to decrease by anything. So this would mean we still want 100% of the same amount. So we'd multiply by 1 so that there is no change whatsoever. Now have a go at these standard examples. What you can do is pause the video, have a go at them in your exercise book, and then resume playing when you want me to go through. So decrease £70 by 10%, so 100% subtract 10% would mean we want to find 90% of £70. Change 90% to a decimal, so we want to do 0.9 multiplied by 70, so the answer was £63. Decrease £800 by 40%, 100% subtract 40% means we want to find 60% of £800. 0.6 then multiplied by 800 would give us an answer of £480. Decrease 90 kilograms by 52%. 100% subtract 52% would give us 48%. Change this to a decimal by dividing by 100. So 0.48 multiplied by 90 gives us an answer of 43.2 kilograms. Ignore the pound sign there, it's a bit of a typo. Decrease 225 metres by 15%. So 100% subtract 15% means we want to find 85% of the amount. 85 changed to a decimal is 0.85. Multiplied by 225 would give us an answer of 191.25 metres. Notice all of these answers are smaller than the original amounts because we are decreasing, we are getting smaller. Decrease 90 kilograms by 82%, so 100% is the original value of 90 kilograms. Subtract 82% means we want to find 18% of the original amount. Change this to a decimal, so 0.18 multiplied by 90 gives us an answer of 16.2 kilograms. The last question, decrease 580 kilograms by 68%. Well, 100% subtract 68% means we want to find 32% of the amount. Change this to a decimal, so this is 0.32 multiplied by 580, so we get 185.6 kilograms as an answer. Some non-standard examples then, I've popped these ones in just because the percentages are slightly trickier. If you would rather just skip on to the next slide or listen to me going through it, that's fine. If you're competent or confident, please have a go at them in your exercise book first. So the first question, decrease £70 by 8%. Well, 100% subtract 8% gives us 92%. Change this to a decimal, so 0.92 multiplied by 70 gives us an answer of £64.40. Decrease £500 by 6%. Well, 100% decreased by 6% means we want to find 94% of the original amount. Change this to a decimal by dividing by 100, so 0.94 multiplied by 500 gives us an answer of £470. Decrease 90 kilograms by 4%. 100% subtract 4% gives us 96%. Change this to a decimal, so we want to do 0.96 multiplied by 90, so we get an answer of 86.4 kilograms. Decrease 300 metres by 12.5%. Well, 100% take away 12.5% gives us 87.5%. Divide this by 100 and we get a decimal of 0.875. Multiplied by 300 gives us an answer of 262.5 metres. Decrease 450 grams by 45.5%. Well, 100% subtract 45.5% gives us 54.5%. Change this to a decimal of 0.545. Multiply by 450 gives us an answer of 245.25 grams. And finally, decrease 856 kilometres by 33.67%. Well, 100% subtract off 33.67 gives us 66.33. So if we change this to a decimal, we've got 0.6633 multiplied by 800, and that gives us an answer of 530.64 kilometres. There's a bit of a challenge question then. What is the multiplier for a 10% reduction followed by another 10% reduction? Well, for a 10% reduction, we're starting with 100%, subtracting off 10%, so this will be finding 90% of the original amount. So this will be a multiplier of 0.9, followed by another reduction of 10% would mean multiplying by 0.9 again. So a 10% reduction followed by another 10% reduction would give us a multiplier of 0.81. So this is in total a 10% reduction followed by a 10% reduction is actually a 19% reduction in total. Some people would think this would be a 20% reduction, and it isn't, because we've already reduced by 10%. So we've reduced by 10% and then we're reducing by 10% again. So it's not a combined 20% reduction. At this point you can have a go at the worksheet if you want to, but if you just wait for a moment, I'm going to go for my true or false questions. You might also want to have a go at recalling this to me. So how do I find a percentage decrease? So to find a percentage decrease, subtract the percentage from 100, change to a decimal and find that percentage of the amount. Repeat it again to me. How do I find a percentage decrease? So to find a percentage decrease, subtract the percentage from 100, change to a decimal and find that percentage of the amount. On to the true or false questions then. To find 40% of an amount, the multiplier is 0.4. True. I'm not asking you to decrease at this time, so we're just finding 40%. So if we were just finding 40%, yes, we would divide by 100 and use a multiplier of 0.4. To find 65% of an amount, the multiplier is 0.65. Yes, this is true. Again, we are just finding 65% of an amount. We change to a decimal, so we divide by 100, so the multiplier would be 0.65. To find 8% of an amount, the multiplier is 0.8. No, this is false. Remember, to find 8% of an amount, 8 shared by 100 is 0.08. Remember, a multiplier of 0.8 is finding 80% of an amount. To decrease an amount by 40%, the multiplier is 0.6. Yes, remember, if we're decreasing by an amount, we always start with 100% of the amount. We're decreasing by 40%, so we want to find 60% of the original amount. So yes, dividing by 100, the multiplier will be 0.6. To decrease an amount by 70%, the multiplier is 0.7. No, this is false. To decrease by 70%, we start with 100%, subtract 70%, so actually we would want to find 30% of the original amount, so the multiplier would be 0.3. To decrease an amount by 65%, the multiplier is 0.35. Yes, 100% subtract 65% gives us 35%. So indeed, the decimal multiplier, when we divide by 100, would certainly be 0.35. To decrease an amount by 95%, the multiplier is 0.95. No, this is false. 100% subtract 95% is 5%. And 5 shared by 100 would be 0.05. So the decimal multiplier here would be 0.05. If we were multiplying by 0.95, hopefully you could see that this would be a decrease of just 5%. To decrease an amount by 6%, the multiplier is 0.96. Well, this is false. If we're decreasing by 6, remember 100 subtract 6 is actually 94%. So the multiplier would be 0.94, not 0.96. To decrease an amount by 20%, then a further 10% is 0.7. This is false. So in the last slide, to decrease an amount by 20%, we'd actually multiply by 0.8 because 100% subtract 20% is 80%. Change this to a decimal, that would give us the 0.8. Then a further 10%, we start with 100%, we subtract off 10%, which is 90%, change this to a decimal, which would be 0.9. If we multiply these two together, we then get 0.72. So actually, to decrease an amount by 20%, then a further 10%, the decimal multiplier would be 0.72. This is quite a challenging question, so please don't be put off if this final question has thrown you a little bit. Is this correct then? Let's have a look at another real life question. John writes the following for his homework. Is his answer correct? Pause the video, have a read through, and then see if you can work along with me. So the question is, a car decreases in value by 20% after the first year, and then a further 5% each subsequent year, so each year after that. After 3 years, what will the value of the car, originally costing £18,000, be? So this is John's working. He's taken the original £18,000. He's multiplied by a multiplier of 0.2, then a decimal multiplier of 0.5 and 0.5 to get an answer of £900. Seems quite cheap. Okay, hopefully you can see that John is incorrect. If he decreases by 20%, that means he does 100% subtract 20%, which is 80%. So here he should have multiplied by 0.8. Then if he wants to decrease by 5%, that's 100% subtract 5%, which is 95%. So he should have multiplied by a multiplier of 0.95 here. So we should have done 18,000 multiplied by 0.8, multiplied by 0.95, then a further 0.95 for another 5% reduction. So he should have got £12,996. So the success criteria for today then, hopefully we know how to find a percentage of an amount using a multiplier. So hopefully you can find things like 56% of 900 grams. So you would do 0.56 multiplied by 900. Hopefully you could find 8% of 250 metres. So 0.08 multiplied by 250. And hopefully you can do 6.5% of 80 pounds by doing 0.065 multiplied by 80. Hopefully you now understand how to find a multiplier to be able to decrease. So what is the multiplier to decrease by 20%? Hopefully you now know we'd work at 80%, so it would be 0.8. So the multiplier to decrease by 70% would be 0.3. And the multiplier to decrease by 45% would be 0.55. And hopefully then you can go on to calculate a percentage decrease. So hopefully you could work out a decrease, you could decrease 780 millilitres by 95%. So you would do 0.05 multiplied by 780. And hopefully you could decrease £48 by 22%. So hopefully you could do that question by subtracting 22% from 100%, so getting 78% and doing 0.78 multiplied by £48. Where would we use this? So we've seen examples throughout in real day life. Let's have a look at one last problem solving question together. Two shops are selling the same DVD. In Tesco the DVD costs £11.49. In Asda the DVD costs £13.50. But Asda have an offer of 20% off all DVDs. Which shop should you buy from? So in Tesco it costs £11.49. We need to now work out if this 20% reduction at Asda makes it cheaper or not. So if we want 20% off, we know 100% subtract 20% means we want to find 80% of the original value. So in Asda then, 80% would give me a decimal multiplier of 0.8. Multiplying by the £13.50 gives me that in Asda that DVD would cost me £10.80. So I would want to go in and buy that DVD from Asda. Hopefully you've enjoyed this lesson. Make sure now you work through the worksheet and the answers are in the folder with today's lesson.